Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 14th, 2023 meeting of the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners. Everyone will stand, please. Our Chaplain, Commissioner Romel McMurry, will lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Let us pray. Father God, I want to say thank you for this day. It is you that allows us all to go about our daily lives. Thank you for your grace and mercy. We live in a country of the free that allows us to worship and pray to you anytime we choose without living in fear. That's another reason to say thank you. We remember those this past Monday of the lives that were lost on 9/11. Continue to be with those families and those first responders. I want to say thank you for our wonderful Rutherford County first responders, because they are indeed the front line within our communities. Lord, help us each day to share your word with those around us so they can experience your love. Help us to live a life that honors you and inspires others to love you. Thank you for overcoming the world. Because of that, we can experience unity with you. And because we can be unified with you, we can experience unity with one another. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace." Fearful men and women control. Intelligent men and women analyze. But wise men and women listen with intent to understand. So as I close this prayer, I ask that you allow this body in this chamber to be unified as we continue to do the work the people elected us to do and expect us to do. Help us put away any type of self-interest and rather focus on the interests of those that we serve. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. This time I'll call on our Rutherford County Clerk, Lisa Crowell, to call the roll. Lisa?
Commissioner Oliver.
Present.
Commissioner Piercy.
Here.
Commissioner Rather.
Here.
Commissioner Peay.
Here.
Commissioner Davison.
Here.
Commissioner Beverly.
Here.
Commissioner Cush. Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Anthony Johnson.
Present.
Commissioner Boyd.
Here.
Commissioner Paul Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Irvin.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Dodd.
Here.
Chairman Phillips.
Present.
Commissioner McAdoo. Commissioner McMurry.
Here.
Commissioner Gooch.
Here. Here.
Commissioner Sorrento.
Yes.
Have a quorum, 21 present.
Thank you, Lisa. This time I'll call on our Chairman Pro-Tempore Gooch for the reading and approval of our minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have read and reviewed those minutes, among others, and find everything to be appropriate. And so my motion is to move with, dispense with the reading and approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve our last meeting minutes in August. Any questions or any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Motion to approve carries. I don't have a list of anyone who signed up for public comments tonight. Did anyone sign up for public comments? We're talking about public comments, not our public hearing. Is that what you signed up for, was a comment, public comments? If you would, please come forward. Please come forward. It's time for public comment. So if you would, please come forward. If you tried to sign up and couldn't, I don't have your name. So if you would, come forward. It's time for public comments. Say that again. We have public hearings tonight that relate to some rezonings. This is not that. You'll have the opportunity to speak when we have our public hearings for some rezonings that are going on. Those are your schedule to be heard at our public hearings. This is the opportunity for anyone to say anything about anything that they've signed up for. If you're talking about public hearings, that's on item J. I'm sorry? It's appropriate that you speak now. Public comments. Yes. Come forward, state your name. It's not a public. Okay. If you would, your name and the topic that you're addressing, please. And it needs to be with something on our agenda. If you would, talk in the mic.
My name is Thomas White. I'm a resident of Indian Hills Subdivision here in Murfreesboro. And my concern is the resolution regarding the qualified biogas project, which is going to be located supposedly on Butler Street, right near Joe B. Jackson Parkway. This is, in my opinion, is a waste facility, which they will try to make natural gas out of waste. It's very close to my subdivision. It's very close to Savannah Ridge subdivision. It's extremely close to a daycare, and it's around 100 yards from a fork of the Stones River. And if anybody here can believe that a waste facility cannot distribute waste in the ground, in the water that's close by because of storms we may have here, etc., I think we got a problem. Another major concern I have, if I were to sell my place, my home, after this is built, I would lose a minimum of 10% of the present value of my home, if not more, because who in their right mind is going to buy a home within a mile and a half or 2 miles of a waste facility? And the outfit that's supposed to be doing this is an outfit called Waste Away. Now, if they want to do that, put them out in the country someplace. Don't put them right next to our neighborhood. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I still see no one signed up. Once again, this is our time for public comments. Anyone that tried to sign up but could not sign up, we will hear your public comments. I'll caution the audience about outburst. Please hold your applause. And also, your comments need to be held to 3 minutes or less, and the time slot that we have allotted is only 30 minutes. Is there anyone else that tried to sign up for public comments? Please come forward. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Patty Kinney. I live at 2739 American Horse Trail. I'm one of the closest houses to the proposed treatment center. My biggest concern is Waste Away. Waste Away, I've been up there This place looks like it's not even running. I've called a few weeks ago. They don't have any employees, that the receptionist said. Why in the world would we spend this much money on a treatment facility run by a non-income producing company when this is a big deal? This is a lot of money. It's just really, it could impact our county, our city for forever. I mean, this is on the river. I mean, it's basically right in the middle of the city. So that's my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else attempt to sign up but could not? Seeing no one, I'll declare our public comment period closed. This time I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules. We had an item left off of our agenda, and it was in relation to our recovery court. This is actually Recovery Month, and we've got a proclamation. So I would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to allow this proclamation to be presented at this time. We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules to allow Steering Chairman Craig Harris to come and present the Recovery Month proclamation. All those in favor of suspending rules, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Commissioners, this month is Recovery Month for Tennessee, and we are doing a proclamation to support Recovery Month. We have some people in here, and one of the things that I'm proud of is this commission, and it's not me, it's this commission. We have done some really, really good things, and we are in the right direction. We have given awards to some really good organizations, and some lives have been saved based on the actions that we've done in here. So I want to read this proclamation. Whereas behavioral health is an essential part of health and one's overall wellness, and whereas prevention of mental and substance use disorders works, treatment is effective, and individuals recover in Tennessee and around the nation. And whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of individuals with mental and substance use disorders to implement preventive measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. And whereas Tennessee's own Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services recognize that more than 300,000 Tennesseans need substance abuse treatment. And whereas to help more individuals achieve and sustain long-term recovery, the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services and the Tennessee Association of Alcohol, Drug, and Other Addiction Services invite all residents of Tennessee to participate in the Recovery Month in its 32nd year of national recognition. And therefore, Rutherford County hereby support and proclaim September 2023 as Recovery Month. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you.
I also want to announce we have Recovery Fest, which is going to be Saturday at the Ag Center from 10 to 2 o'clock. It's a lot of the vendors, a lot of people. It's a lot of recovering addiction, a lot of people who are struggling with it. And there's a lot of people, and we need to support them. And if you guys can get out there, or I invite anybody that can come out there and see this, I'd like you to see the work that we're doing, and I'd like you to see the people that are fighting for their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Harris. Item F, elections and confirmations. Steering Vice Chair Pettis-Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Elections and confirmations. Item 1, election of notaries. Listings of notaries may be found on your iPads, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, I move to confirm the election of these individuals as Rutherford County notaries.
Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second to approve.
Not a second. Point of order, please, sir.
1 minute. We have a motion and a second to approve our notaries. Now, discussion.
No discussion, just a point of order. You suspended the rules for the previous action. Do we have to come back into session or anything like that for this portion?
We're good.
All right, great, thank you.
Thank you. Discussion on the election of notaries. All those in favor to elect the list of notaries, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you.
Item 2, steering would like to announce a vacancy on the Rutherford County Historic Courthouse Museum Board of Trustees. Item 3, steering would like to announce a vacancy on the BZA Board that will have a 5-year term beginning October 2023, continuing until October 2028. Item 4, steering wishes to announce 2 beer board vacancies that will have 3-year terms beginning October 2023, continuing until October 2026. Item 5, steering also would like to announce 1 beer board alternate vacancy for a 3-year term beginning October 2023, continuing until October 2026. Item 6, we also wish to announce a vacancy in the Industrial Development Board to fill a retiring member's seat. This term will expire August 2029. Steering wishes to announce a vacancy at the Codes Enforcement Adjustments and Appeal Board. This will be a 3-year term beginning September 2023, continuing to September 2026. Item 8, steering would like to confirm the reappointment of Lynnisse Patrick for a 4-year term as CUD Commissioner. That term begins November 2023 and runs through November 2027. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second to confirm Ms. Patrick for the CUD. Any discussion? All those in favor of that motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries.
Item 9, steering wishes to confirm Ted Batey, Joanna Medlen, Romel McMurry, Robert Peay, and Craig Harris to the Ethics Committee. This committee is confirmed every September. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second to confirm the list for our Ethics Committee. Is there any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I return the business of elections and confirmations back to the chair for your attention.
Item number 10 under elections and confirmations is to confirm the commission chairman who was elected tentatively last month, and I'll turn the con over to our chairman pro tem, Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last month, we tentatively elected Commissioner Chair Jeff Phillips for our chairman. At this time, I will seek nominations to have a permanent chair.
We need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Mr. Jeff Phillips for chairman, and I move we do it by acclamation.
We have a motion on the floor to elect Chairman Phillips by acclamation.
Second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you. Item 11, confirm Commission Chairman Pro Tem. Last month, we tentatively elected our current Chairman Pro Tem, Trey Gooch, and I need a motion to confirm that election.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to confirm Trey Gooch as our Chairman Pro Tem. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. At this time, we need to elect our Commission Chaplain for 2023, 2024. The floor is open for nominations.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Beverly.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Romel McMurry.
We have a motion and a second to re-elect our Commission Chaplain, Romel McMurry. Any other nominations? I'll entertain a motion for acclamation.
Move that we cease nominations and re-elect him by acclamation.
Have a second? All those in favor of re-electing our current chaplain, Romel McMurry, by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Election of our standing committees. I'm going to turn this over to our steering chair, Craig Harris.
If you look on your iPad, you'll see the list of standing committees. To let everyone know that we gave 20 of 21 commissioners their first and second choice. And we kept, in the one that we was unable to give first and second choice, kept in the original committees that they were in. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
I believe you have the list in front of you, or it's on our iPad, one or the other. Any questions or any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I so move to accept these.
We have a motion to approve the steering committee's recommendation and a second. Now discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. We've got about 10 minutes or so before we have to conduct our public hearings. We'll go ahead and start the process of confirming our chairman and vice chairman for our standing committees. First that's on the list that I have in front of me is our Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee, and that's Commissioners Robert Peay, Shanto Sereno, Wayne Irwin, Trey Gooch, Craig Harris, Steve Piercy, Paul Johnson. Our chairman pro tem will call this meeting to order.
At this time, I'll call the Budget Committee meeting to order for the purpose of electing our chairman, our vice chairman, and setting of our meeting times and dates. At this time, I'll ask for a nomination for chair. Mr. Chairman. I have two nominations for Mr. Peay. Anyone else? Is there a motion to cease nominations and elect Commissioner Peay by acclamation?
So moved.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I want to sincerely thank all of you. I appreciate it. At this time, we'll open the floor for nominations for vice chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Recognize.
I nominate Wayne.
Okay, we have two nominations. Do I hear any more? Okay, we'll have to do a roll call vote here, and I'll start. Commissioner Irving. Gooch. So that's Mr. Gooch. Congratulations, you're our vice chair. Our meeting time is is first Thursday after the first Monday, which confuses everybody. But we normally do that at 5:30. Is that okay with the committee to keep it the same? I hear it is. So, Mr. Chairman, we will be keeping the same meeting time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our budget chairman is Robert Peay. The budget vice chairman is Trey Gooch. Public safety, Jonathan Beverly, Pettis Reed, Romel McMurry, Michael Rather, Joshua James, Shanto Sereno, and Hope Oliver.
I call the Public Safety Committee meeting to order for the purpose of electing their chairman and vice chairman and meeting of their times and dates. At this time, I'll seek a nomination for chair.
I'd like to nominate Reed.
Reed. Anyone else?
Move that we cease.
Is there a second? All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioners. We'll now open the floor up for nominations for Vice Chairman. Commissioner Rather has been nominated. Beverly has been nominated. Okay, nominations we'll stop nominations this time. We'll ask that you vote. I'll go around and ask each one. We have two individuals, Beverly and Rather. We'll start here.
Beverly.
Beverly? Rather? Rather?
Rather.
Rather's 3. Rather's 4. Beverly is 2. And Beverly? So, Mr. Rather? I think we've got a tie here, hadn't we? Did we?
No.
It's 4. 4-3? Okay. I was afraid y'all were going to do this to me again. That's why I said that. People, if you don't understand, this committee is bad about going 3-3, and they always send it back up here, and I appreciate you doing that. All right. Congratulations, Mr. Rather. We meet on the 4th Monday, and our meeting starts at 5:30. Thank you.
Public Works and Planning, Mike Cush, Steve Piercy, Robert Peay, Anthony Johnson, Joshua James, Phil Dodd, and Carl Boyd.
I'll call the Public Works and Planning Committee meeting to order for the purpose of electing their chairman and vice chairman and setting of their meeting times and dates. At this time, I'll seek a nomination for chairman.
All right, gentlemen, as you know, several weeks ago, I sent out an email expressing my interest to step down from Public Works Chair.
I have a nomination for Steve Piercy. Anyone else?
I'd like to nominate Anthony Johnson.
Anthony Johnson. Anyone else? Okay, so I will call the roll, and we got Mr. Piercy and Mr. Anthony Johnson. Commissioner Cush?
Piercy.
Mr. Piercy? Commissioner Peay?
Johnson.
Commissioner Johnson? Commissioner James?
Piercy.
Commissioner Dodd?
Johnson.
Commissioner Boyd?
Johnson.
And Commissioner Johnson is our chairman of Public Works.
Very good.
I appreciate it. I'll try my best not to let you down. That's all I can do. We'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate
Bill Dodd's nominated for vice chair. Do I have a second? Other nominations?
I move we nominate.
Bill Dodd by acclamation. So everybody in favor? All right. Phil Dodd's our vice chairman. We have no objections. Our next meeting will be October 3rd. That's a Tuesday. So October 3rd is our next meeting. Thank you.
That's the first Tuesday after the first Monday at 5:30 p.m. This time we'll do the public hearings. It's 6:30 and it's time for us to get into our public hearings. If you would, refer to item I on your agenda. I'll call on our planning director, Doug DeMasi, to lead us through this process. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. We do have 3 rezoning requests for your consideration tonight. The first is by Maleke Ahmad. This is located at 3892 Shelbyville Pike. The property is currently zoned commercial services. They are asking for commercial general zoning on an approximate 8-acre site. This application actually had come to the Planning Commission originally back in July, but there was some confusion as to the number of acres that the applicant wanted to have rezoned. So it was deferred until the August meeting. As it turns out, rather than a portion of the site, he would like to rezone the entire site to commercial general. He would like to use a portion of this property to open an auto sales dealership. There is currently a mini barn sales business on the property. This business would remain and would be in addition to the car sales that they wish to establish on the property. There is a concept plan that has been included with your agenda packets tonight. It is not binding. Any access improvements to Shelbyville Pike would have to be done through TDOT, as this is a federal/state road. We have also informed the applicant that any surface that they wish to use for car inventory would have to have a paved parking surface. They did ask about the ability to phase that in. As long as they're not using any grass or gravel area, they will be allowed to pave as they go. But they would have to demonstrate that through an engineered site plan, along with our landscape requirements and our performance standards. The Planning Commission did have some clarifying questions about if an arrangement had been made to keep the existing small mini barn, Dutch barn sales on the property, which they had. There were no other questions from the Commission on this. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff or Mr. DeMasi? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 23-012 Maleke Adman. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we approve with staff comment.
We have a motion and a second to approve item rezoning request REZ 23-012. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. DeMasi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our second request is by Ralph and Joni Cook. This is located at 9164 Couchville Pike. The property is currently zoned office professional. They are asking to rezone it to residential medium density. The entire tract is about 23 acres. The area to be rezoned is about 11. This is a little bit of an unusual request. This is what we would call a down zoning, where somebody's going from a more intensive zone down to a less intensive zone. We don't see these too terribly often. This property was rezoned office professional back in 2016 for use as a counseling center. The applicant has stated that her organization no longer plans to utilize this property in that manner, so they're in the process of selling the property as a single-family use. However, single-family residential uses do not, or are not allowed, in the office professional zone, so the potential buyers are having difficulty securing financing for this particular property. So rezoning the property to RM would allow the existing residential use on the property by right. There really is no development potential at this time for this property. This is not for development purposes. It really is just to zone it so somebody can purchase the property to live in the house. There was a question about the zoning boundaries. When you look at the maps provided in your agenda materials, you'll notice that the zoning lines don't quite match with the property lines. That was because the property lines have shifted over time. Property lines don't necessarily change the zoning that's in place. So after that was explained, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote. And again, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing open for rezoning request REZ 23-013 Ralph and Joan Cook. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. you would state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Lisa Murphy, 2309 Highway 109, Lebanon, Tennessee 37090.
You have 3 minutes. You need to step up to the mic and speak into the mic, if you would, please, so everyone can hear you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Here, it's you. Go with me. I own the property that's right in the middle.
Speak into the mic.
I own the property that's right in the middle. They are trying to rezone everything around my property. We just don't understand. And we kind of don't understand the letter that was sent to me from them, because it kind of makes no sense in a way. But the plan is to build a house on it for my grandchildren.
So, are we having, we don't understand it, so it's going to be zoned as the same or less? Do we have to worry about, we don't. It's right in the middle.
Right in the middle, and
That's her
that's me.
entrance to that property.
That's who.
The entrance to that property is on that side.
Okay, all this is tax rolls. There's an access out.
And we can never get in touch with anyone we try to call, so that's why we came up here.
Point of order, you guys.
Thank you.
Are your comments over? Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. For item REZ 23-013, rezoning request for Ralph and Joni Cook. Commissioner Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I recommend approval with staff comments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve rezoning request REZ 23-013. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. DeMasi. Interesting conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This last request is by Mr. Jerry Laquiere. This is located along Ocala Road. The existing zoning is residential medium density, and the proposed zoning is commercial general. The size of the site under consideration is approximately 10 acres. The applicant's asking to rezone this property to commercial general in order to develop a self-storage facility for boats, campers, and RVs. Information provided by the applicant states they will provide covered and enclosed storage options with climate control as well as standard drive-up storage. The owners say that, the applicant states that owners just in general struggle to find exterior places to park and store RVs, boats, larger items like that. And I will say that we do, as staff, get a lot of phone calls about these type of uses, so that is definitely a use in the area that we need to consider. The applicant is aware that the proposed use will require an application to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Automotive parking in many warehouses and self-storage are only allowed by special exception in the commercial general zone. This is not a use by right. So approval of the zoning would not automatically approve the uses as presented. There is a concept plan that has been included with your agenda packets. Again, this is not binding, but it should give you an idea of the direction they would like to go. They are showing, again, enclosed storage for boats and RVs, RV storage, standard storage units, arranged what I would call a fortress pattern kind of around, and the activity, most of that's in the middle. That commercial general also has a higher lot coverage percentage, excuse me, which is determined by impervious surfaces, both buildings and parking areas. Any access to the property would have to be along Ocala Road. This is also shown on the concept plan. Any access points would have to be approved through the county's highway department. Also, we would have to verify compliance with all of our parking access requirements through an engineered site plan, which would also include our landscape screening and performance standards. There was actually quite a bit of discussion on this item at the Planning Commission. One of the commissioners asked what would happen if this zoning application were approved, but a special exception either wasn't asked for, or if one was requested for mini warehouses and boat RV storage was denied. We did respond that the uses allowed in the zoning ordinance at that time would dictate whatever could be on the property. There were also questions about previously approved developments at the intersection of Ocala Road, Old Shores, and Almaville Road. There were several questions about buffering, also the town of Smyrna's future land use plan for this area. One commissioner did ask if a neighborhood meeting had been held. At the time, there hadn't been, at least with the applicant. My understanding is one was held over the last week or so with several of the people in the neighborhood. Several people also spoke during the public hearing. Those concerns raised included the condition of Ocala Road, property values, traffic issues, safety and safety issues and crime, lack of full-time firefighters in the area, and commercial uses in a residential community. Comments were made by commissioners after the public hearing about the county's future land use plan and in operation about storage units in general. And then one commissioner did recommend the applicant hold a neighborhood meeting, which again, understanding is that that was held. There were some clarifying comments about the site plan review process and also how that would include the drainage in the area. And following that discussion, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a vote of 8-4 and 1 against. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Thank you, Mr. DeMasi. This time I'll declare a public hearing open for item rezoning request item REZ 23-014, Jerry Laquiere. Anyone wishing to speak for or against this rezoning request, please come forward. Seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Commissioner James.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve with staff comments.
We have a motion and a second to approve rezoning request REZ 23-014. All those in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Motion to approve carries. Thank you. Mr. DeMasi, anything else? Thank you. Okay, we'll get back to our agenda items now. The next on our list is the Purchasing Committee, and I'll announce that the commissioner serving on that is Jeff Phillips, Alan McAdoo, Carl Boyd, Trey Gooch, Anthony Johnson, Robert Peay, and Mayor Joe Carr will chair that committee. And usually they met on the third Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. or as needed. Health and Education. Commissioners, Hope Oliver, Laura Davison, Phil Wilson, Carl Boyd, Romel McMurry, Phil Dodd, Trey Gooch. Chairman Pro Tem, Trey Gooch.
Health and Education Committee meeting is called to order for the purpose of electing our chairman and vice chairman and setting of meeting times and dates. At this time, I'll ask for a nomination for chair.
Nominate Phil Dodd.
Anyone else? Is there a motion to cease nominations and elect Mr. Dodd by acclamation? So moved. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Dodd.
Thank you. Now, the next order of business is floor is open for nominations for vice chair. Wilson. And a second. Any further nominations or a motion to cease nominations and vote by acclamation? So moved. So moved. Second. All those in favor of Phil Wilson say aye. Aye. Congratulations, Vice Chair. The next order of business for us is we are contemplating we're doing something a little different. When we want to meet, we are still meeting the fourth Tuesday, and I think there's been some concern about our time. So I would like to open the floor for nominations for a time, whether we stay at 5:30, stay at 6 or move back to 5:30.
May I?
Yes. If that's agreeable to the group, let's just say aye to 5:30 start. Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Mr. Chairman, we will be meeting fourth Tuesday at 5:30, so there is a revision.
Fourth Tuesday following the first Monday.
That's right, at 5:30.
5:30.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Property Management, Commissioners Phil Dodd, Phil Wilson, Laura Davison, Alan McAdoo, Jeff Phillips, Anthony Johnson, and Wayne Irwin.
Call the Property Management Committee meeting to order for the purpose of electing their chairman and vice chairman, setting the meeting times and dates. Is there a nomination for chairman?
Nominate.
Are we sure we don't have anyone else nominated? Okay, there's a motion to cease nominations and elect McAdoo as chairman. Acclamation. Is there all in favor? Please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, vice chairman. Nomination for vice chairman. Anthony Johnson has been nominated. Do I hear another nomination for vice chairman?
Move the nomination.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. There's been some discussion on our meeting time, and I think a new member had come up with the idea that our meeting time is just out there in left field, and he's trying to get it together with the other committees. So I'm asking Commissioner Phillips to present his proposal.
I think the committee is scheduled to meet the fourth Thursday of each month. And there are 2 or 3 months a year where that fourth Thursday falls out of sequence with the other committees that are meeting. So I would recommend that it meet the fourth Thursday following the first Monday, which would put it always in the same week as Public Safety, Health and Ed, and our Insurance Committee, if that's okay with everyone. It would make a difference only in 2 to 3 months a year.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. I think Commissioner Johnson had brought it up at our last meeting, this informal discussion about that meeting time. And I think that the previous members were in agreement to move it, because if you had anything to do, that one committee meeting was knocking you out of a whole week when you could be in with the other committees. So do I have any objection to making that change? All those in favor of making the change? Aye. Hey, thank you.
Chairman, I believe this concludes the elections of chairmen and vice chairs of our standing committee.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Gooch. Appreciate that. Steering Committee meets the first Monday of every month at 5:30 p.m. Craig Harris is our chair and Pettis Reed is our vice chair. Any other comments? I guess that gets us through. At this time, On our agenda is a resolution to approve our consent agenda, and I'll call on our Chairman Pro Tem Trey Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have reviewed the consent agenda and find everything to be appropriate. There is no opposition to anything on the agenda, so my motion is to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Anyone have any comments or any questions or would like to pull? Hearing none, will be on the board. If you would, please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item J, we're getting into our standing committee reports. First up, item J1, Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee, Chairman Robert Peay.
Commissioner Rather gave me 12 minutes to conduct our business tonight, so I'm going to see if we can make that. Budget item A, a resolution, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the general fund be amended as follows. This is from the county mayor's budget, a decrease from unassigned fund balance of $50,000 and an increase expenditures of other contracted services for $50,000. And what this is the money to pay a person from part-time to full-time for security for the clerk's office. Next is emergency management. We want a decrease in unassigned fund balance of $454,497 and increased expenditures of contracts with private agencies for $454,497. And this is actually with the Motorola company. This is a contract that we signed. Came in a little bit sooner than we expected, and that's why we're seeing it in this form. Resolved this 14th day of September 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Seeing none, for this will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes.
Next item, budget item B. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Drug Control Fund be amended as follows. From drug enforcement, a decrease in restricted fund balance of $67,000 and increased expenditures of data processing equipment, $40,000, and also an increase in motor vehicles of $27,000. Resolved this 14th day of September 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Once again, we'll be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Motion passes. Budget item C. This is actually a bookkeeping correction. We had placed some funds in one line item which proved to be incorrect, and we're making that correction now with this motion. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the Drug Control Fund and Special Purpose Fund be amended as follows to correct the coding of prior year revenue received from the federal government. Drug enforcement, a decrease in restricted fund balance of $7,692, and increased expenditures transferred to other fund, $7,692. Then under the Sheriff's Office, increase in revenues transfers in $7,692, and an increase in restricted fund balance of $7,692. Resolved this 14th day of September 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
I have a motion and a second to approve item J1C. Discussion. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Item J1C passes.
Budget item D. This is something we've actually already voted on and passed because of where it landed at the end of our budget year. They weren't able to make the correct moves in the right amount of time. So this has come back to us for a revote, basically. Be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners that the General Purpose School Fund be amended according to the schedule attached hereto as Exhibit 1 and incorporated herein by reference as if set forth herein at length verbatim. Resolved this 14th day of September 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move. And I want to mention, this is, if you look on the attached page there, this is for the amount of $1.2 million. This is for the purchase of property at 814 South Church Street.
Alternative school?
That and maybe office space, I think they're saying.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
One thing I want to mention, this is coming out of item 141. If you remember, this came to budget. I'm the only one that voted no. I'll be voting no again tonight. This is spending money out of shared revenues that we don't necessarily have to, and we're losing money by doing that. Personal opinion, it should be coming out of 177 education capital projects. But you see me, I've made the motion to approve this, but I'll be voting no, so that's why.
I have a motion and a second to approve item J1D. Any other discussion? Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm aware that Mr. Peay is a no vote, and we have taken Mr. Peay's awareness of using the shared money. And I cannot speak for the Board of Education, but I know that Dr. Sullivan and Michael Smith and Brian Runyon, the budget director of the school system, is taking extra care to be careful with using shared funds in arenas that might force us to lose that shared dollar. So I appreciate you pointing that out. I think it's the cost of doing business on this vote. We have to protect that 177 fund because we have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of maintenance upcoming. So with all due respect, I will be voting yes, and thank you for wising us up on that, Chairman.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just got one question for the Budget and Finance Director. Since we'll be losing money out of that line item, why can't we go with the other line item that we're not losing money out of, and then in the future move the monies from that line item to that line item to recoup it? To me, a line item not etched in stone. So why can't we go ahead and do like Commissioner Peay said, to save money and use that line item for this project?
Chairman McAdoo, you're preaching to the choir to me. Michael, do you want to?
So these are not just two different line items, they're two different funds. Fund 177 is our Educational Capital Projects Fund, and Fund 141 is our General Purpose School Fund. This amendment came to us from the school board in Fund 141. So if you were to change it and want it to come out of 177, it would go back to the school board for their approval. However, I do believe their closing is in the next 2 weeks or a week. I'm looking back there at Dr. Sullivan, not to put him on the spot. So that would be, I mean, you do have that option as a commission if you wish to change this to Fund 177, but it would need to go back to the school board and then come back up here if y'all wish to do that. But I do believe that's the reason it came from us, and had there been a purchase order or something issued last year, you wouldn't see this budget amendment, but there was not one issued, and so that's why you're seeing it again. But you definitely could, but it would, I don't want to put Dr. Sullivan on the spot, but he's...
Michael, would you mind reminding them how much money we're talking about losing by going to this other account?
So this money is split before it comes into Fund 141, so you're not going to see it off of the 1.2 million budget amendment. It's split on the front end before it ever comes to us here. But we share revenues with the Murfreesboro City School System, approximately 86 to 14%, and that varies a little bit depending on the enrollment, the average enrollment, but approximately 14 to 14.5%.
Put a dollar figure to that. I don't have a calculator.
Roughly 100, because you have to back into it, roughly 140,000, 150,000, somewhere in there.
Only money, $140,000, right?
Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. Would like to consider making a motion to suspend the rules, and if Dr. Sullivan might want to speak to this matter, and perhaps Michael Smith and he could help educate the rest of the commissioners to gain support for this. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules to allow our Superintendent, Jimmy Sullivan, to address this topic. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a quick statement?
You can.
I am not against them expending the money. It's where it's coming from. That's what it's all about with me, trying to save us more money.
Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Commissioner. Jimmy Sullivan, Rutherford County Director of Schools. So this is a conversation that also came up when we were looking at Laverne High School, so in making some renovations and improvements to that school. To kind of hit that same argument, as you guys know, the school system is a huge portion of our budget. We could very easily come before the county commission as part of our building project and ask for these funds, because that would be our other revenue. Our Fund 177, we strictly use for capital project maintenance, capital projects, HVACs, plumbing, roofing, those big projects that this last year we gave up another penny of with the commission support. So it has gone from 11 cents down to 10 cents. So we are removing revenue and pennies from that fund. That fund is sitting with about $300 million of deferred maintenance that we need to address. That is the recommendation for our school board. We were very strategic in looking at this. We realized that this money has been shared. When it was shared, there's no idea of when that money was shared. That money has been built into fund balance and used for fund balance over various years. And so why are we taking out of 141? Quite frankly, it's to lessen the ability of us having to ask the county commission for additional funding. The other part I think that does get lost in that is that we truly don't know what the exact need of this building is going to be. We are looking at it for 814 South Church Street to be strictly an alternative school. Alternative school in state law is 1st through 12th grade. Our initial desire is to do 6th through 12. However, I do believe we've had threats involving 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. We need a place for those students to go as well. I envision a situation to where we do serve other grade levels at this facility at some point. We've talked about it possibly being a special education center as well for our high-need students, and so those are always options. I'm happy to answer any type of questions. These are things that we will continue to look at talking with Commissioner Peay and kind of hitting on that point. We may get to the point where we try to use Fund 177 strictly for secondary projects and trying to hit 141 for our general purpose school budget. This isn't anything that's new. This body approved us to buy portables out of 141, probably reluctantly to buy portables. Those portables did not all go to a high school setting as well. That would have been shared money. And so this is a conversation that has gotten more traction over the last couple months. Understanding being fiscally responsible, but that's ultimately what the school system is trying to do to limit the burden that we're asking of the county commission.
Any questions for Mr. Sullivan? Commissioner McAdoo.
I got a couple of questions. Number one, that closing date is not etched in stone, is it? It can be moved, correct?
Yes, sir, it could be.
And it can't go back to the school board without concern about this $140,000. And I like your statement that you don't like coming before the Board of Commissioners for money, but you do. You know, if you never did or whatever, you know, I may look another way, but you do come before us for money. Now, if you got to go this route to come before us to save $140,000, I think now's the time you come before us. Just my opinion of it. I have no objection to the project, but if we can save $140,000 by making a few adjustments, we need to look at saving $140,000.
Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, with Dr. Sullivan's comments about potential elementary students being in this building, does that change the shared money opinion? Does that affect this at all?
If we put elementary school students in there, then yes, a portion would have to come out of shared money, which the only shared money the school system currently has today is in 141 or 189. But it would depend if they put any K-6 in there. I believe the city school system still goes up to 6th. We would have to do that on a percentage pro rata basis in an estimate of the type of school. I've heard it could be alternative, admin, special ed, or ESL. Those, we would have to kind of work through that calculation. But yes, it would change. You would have to use shared money for the K-6 portion.
And I would also add there is a 100% chance 6th graders will be in this building. 6th graders are in our alternative schools now.
So the technicality of this discussion, part of it might become moot if.
Yes.
So we're having a discussion about a possibility of these funds. They may have to come out of shared money, and we would have delayed the closing again, delayed your opening again, delayed your beginning of remodeling again, et cetera.
Yes, and I think what is different is that when we are coming before with budgets and asking to move money around, that's truly extra revenue. This is revenue that's already been allocated to the school system that was not used in a previous year.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, I think you had a comment.
I don't mean to correct Dr. Sullivan there, but after conferring with the county attorney and the school board's attorney through phone, this is scheduled to close Wednesday, next week. Okay. So I don't know that it could necessarily be as easily as moved as you thought. I wasn't sure when it was, but we just got confirmation it's next Wednesday.
Other questions for, yes, Commissioner Peay?
Well, I want to make the comment that this is the first that I've heard that we may put the younger students in there, which would require us to use shared funds. And before, when this was brought before budget, that never was a question. It was always going to be the high school students would be there where we did not have to share the funds. So this is news to me. If that's the case, we have no choice but to use this fund. But, you know, you're telling me that's the way it's going to be?
6th graders 100%. That's just the structure that we have our alternative schools over.
Well, I think that answers the question then. If we'd have done that back during budget season, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
That's correct. In budget season, I believe this did pass unanimously. It did not. Laverne did not. This one did pass unanimously.
Other questions for Mr. Sullivan? Superintendent Sullivan.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion to go back into session.
We are back in session. I can't remember. Do we have a motion and a second? Thank you. Other discussion? Item J1D, General Purpose School Fund Budget Amendments. Other discussion?
You know, I stated that I would not be voting for this. However, with the changed information that there will be students that we have to share the funds with, I will be voting yes on this, and that's why.
Thank you, Chairman Peay. Other discussion or comments? Ready to cast your votes? If you would, we'll be on the board, so please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
21 yes.
Item J1D passes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our scheduled business. I do want to mention that our next scheduled meeting is October the 5th.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Peay. Item J2, Public Safety Committee, Chairman Pettis-Reed.
No report, but we do have our next meeting dated September the 25th at 5:30. Do want to mention, since I have all the commissioners' attention, the opening of the Kittrell Public Health and Safety Building will be September the 24th on a Sunday at 2 o'clock, inviting everyone to be there. There'll be notices sent out on that. It'll be very similar to what was done at Rockville. We had a great success at the Rockville building, a huge turnout. And just to tell you, the Rockville building is being well used right now. The fire equipment doesn't sit there very still each day, as well as the ambulance. Usually the ambulance now goes in the back. By the time it stops, the front door opens and it's out again. So they're quite busy. We have already put equipment in the Kittrell building, and it seems to be doing somewhat in the same situation. They're running quite a bit. So, but we'd like to see everybody out there on Sunday, the 24th at 2 o'clock.
Thank you, Chairman Reed. Item J3, Health and Education Committee, Chairman Phil Dodd.
Thank you, Chairman. Only one point of interest. Dr. Sullivan indicated that he would be sharing an update to the Health and Ed Committee at our next meeting about the rezoning plan. Their consultant has put together some information. You may have seen it in the news this week. I don't know that he's going to give a full-blown presentation, PowerPoint with the consultants, but he is going to update us because it's such an important issue. So we will be looking forward to hearing from Dr. Sullivan next Tuesday.
Good. Thank you. Health and Ed's next meeting is the 26th of September, and that will be at 5:30. J4, Property Management Committee, Chairman Alan McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no report tonight, but on our next meeting date, it looked like by your statement it's going to stay the same.
It's correct. It's correct.
September the 28th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Chairman McAdoo. J5, Public Works and Planning Committee, Chairman Mike Cush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is two resolutions on your iPad. And, Mr. Chair, I would also like to ask to suspend the rules and ask that Mr. Craig Tindall from the City of
Chairman Phillips, is our
Yes.
new chair not supposed to be doing this?
I asked, and he suggested that I finish this business out.
Go ahead.
Okay. Would like to suspend the rules and ask that Craig Tindall from the City of Murfreesboro give a little brief history of this resolution and why this is before us now, and then we can get into the resolution part.
Have a motion to suspend the rules and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries. you would introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Craig Tyndall. I'm city manager of City of Murfreesboro. With me is Ryan Maloney from Maloney and Griggs, or Griggs and Maloney, sorry, let me get them right. Engineering firm on the project, so any technical questions, certainly he can answer. The request tonight is before the commission is a resolution to approve a biogas facility, qualified biogas facility out on the realignment of Butler Road in the future. This will start the process for the TDEC application to permit the facility. It's necessary under the what's called the Jackson Law, the state statutes, that the city and the county approve allowance for the TDEC to permit such a facility within the county, Rutherford County here, or the city. The city approved the resolution for this facility in August, so this is the county's version of that approval to go forward. The city is continuing to work, as is the commission, I think, to address our solid waste needs in the county and in the city. This is part of that. It's part of the plan. The city is planning to build a transfer station, certainly in this area. This is the southern transfer station. The county's talked about a northern transfer station. So in the long term, these will work together to help address disposal of solid waste in the county. So the transfer station will be there. Adjoining that is proposed right now, and we still have a process to go. It's not approved. There will be hearings before City Council. There will be agreements that will be taken to City Council. There will be opportunity for the citizens to voice their opinions on that. But that's down the road a bit. From a timing standpoint, as we face the potential closure, well, it's not potential closure, it is certainly a closure of Middle Point. This is part of the process to address solid waste. What it is, the transfer station will take solid waste in. It will either transfer it to another location, a landfill, or it will put it into a building, and it will be processed into a fuel state, a state that could be used for fuel, either a coal substitute that's been approved by the EPA, or to manufacture biogas. Renewable natural gas, which is what's pumped into our houses for heating and cooking on stoves. It's in an industrial area. It's an area with other industry that is located there. It's an area that's been zoned industrial for the city. There are manufacturing plants there. This process all occurs inside the building itself. It recurs relatively quickly, and what is processed is in an odorless state. It goes into a anaerobic digester, which is old technology. It's been around for a while, that creates the gas facility. And there's actually an anaerobic digester that is alongside the river. This is a half a mile from the river. There's an anaerobic digester that is alongside the river at the General Mills plant right now, and it's been operating for many years without any kind of issues. So with the resolution, again, we can begin our application with TDEC and start the process. And as I said, there are plenty of opportunities for the council to have further input from the community, and we'll take those. There's some information out there that is not correct. So we're happy to answer any questions to correct any information that's out there that the council would like to ask about. I said council, commission. I'm conditioned to say council, and I apologize. Commission.
Questions? Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. So this conversation tonight is not approving a facility. It's not approving a site. It's not approving a site plan. It's not approving rezoning. It's simply to not block you from going to TDEC, Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation, and let them analyze the plans from this day forward. Is that correct?
Exactly, Commissioner. That's exactly correct. They'll do their process for the facility and the safety of the facility and the entire process, but they require, as part of the Jackson Law, the resolution. So you stated it correctly.
So a yes vote from this commission is not a evaluation of the site, the location, the building, the future use, the rezoning. None of those are part of this resolution or conversation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And the community will have an opportunity to have that very conversation with the owner of the project, which is the city of Murfreesboro. You will advertise public hearings, you will educate the public, and the commission can say yes or, excuse me, the city council could say yes or no to this project in the future. TDEC could say no for all we.
Exactly. You're exactly
So
right.
the public
on all
will have an
points.
opportunity to address you and the city council at a future date.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly correct.
Other questions? Commissioner McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand that this is not the final on this project, but do you have other sites for a transfer station in mind, or is the city just looking at this one location, or other locations you're looking at?
Well, I'll stand corrected if Ryan corrects me, but the process for the approval and the permit process is only on the processing facility, not for the transfer station itself. So the transfer station would be located at, did we get a permit for the transfer station? It is integral, but if we just put a transfer, which has long been the plan, a transfer station there, then I don't believe that requires TDEC permitting, just for the transfer station.
It would require a permit.
Okay, it would require an application for that as well. But no, that's been the plan, and its location is actually quite similar to the location where the north transfer station, the county's transfer station, is, distance from residential property and stuff.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Well, that's not completely true. Our transfer station is going on old landfill, but so you're saying that once you send this forward, it's going forward with this location, correct?
Transfer station, correct.
Okay, so if we vote for it tonight, then that's what you will be presenting to the state. Is that correct?
Transfer station and the biogas processing facility, yes.
Commissioner Irwin, did you have a question?
Well, I admit that I first haven't had a chance to look at this very closely. So I'm a little puzzled. First, I heard about it tonight. I apologize for not doing a better deep dive into the agenda. But this clearly says in the whereas clause towards the end that TDEC's not going to evaluate the city's permit application unless and until both the Murfreesboro City Council and Rutherford County Commission have approved the construction of the proposed solid waste processing facility. And then you look down, and I'm doing this a little bit on the fly, so I apologize for that, but it says in the resolution section, it says that it, meaning the commission, approves of the construction of the project located at 2021 Butler Drive for purposes of the Jackson Law, and subject to the approval and permitting by TDEC. So I'm a little confused based on what I just heard in terms of, are we approving the construction of the project located here? If we are, I'll make a motion to defer this until the next, or amendment, sorry, and a motion to amend this to the next meeting so we can have a chance to take a look and see what this actually means. At this point, I'm just trying to, on the fly, take a look at the materials that were provided. So I'll give you the opportunity to respond, but I'm just trying to understand a little bit about the background, a little bit about the construction. There's nothing in here about, is this going to cost the county money? It may not. There's nothing in here, best I can tell, about the technology. Does it work, et cetera? I'm a little bit familiar because of watching some city council meetings, but overall, I'm a little puzzled that maybe this is rushing a little too quickly at the county commission level. So I would appreciate your thoughts on that in response to the extent there is one. And if there's, I'll reserve the right to make an amendment here in a second.
Thank you.
Make an amendment now?
I'm going to reserve that until I hear his explanation.
Well, Commissioner, it's not my resolution. I didn't draft the resolution, so, you know, what all the words mean in there, I would defer to the county attorney. But the process under the Jackson law is if there's a location of, the statute says landfill, it's been interpreted to be a processing facility as well. If it's to be constructed at a certain location, then that has to receive approval from both the city and the county on that location where it is. It's not an approval of what the facility will look like, what it will do, or anything else, but that this is a location where one can be constructed.
Okay, well, and I appreciate that explanation. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion for an amendment to defer this till the next county commission meeting, because candidly, I don't have enough data. Maybe y'all do. I don't have enough data to move forward with this. So I'll make that motion to defer, Mr. Chairman. And amend this, whatever it is, to defer. Or a motion. Actually, is there a motion out there now? Okay, I'll motion to amend to defer it to the next meeting.
Well, there's no motion out there, I don't believe.
Let me interject. There is no motion to amend at this particular point in time. We've entered discussions, so.
Okay, I apologize. I'm trying to sort this out just like everybody else is. I'm going to make a motion to defer this until the next committee, so the committee process can do its magic in case there are financial implications. Haven't heard anything about those potentially. And so that they can go through the appropriate committees and can be brought up at the next commission meeting. A motion to that effect.
Pending motion, so I don't want to step on it, but.
I'm sorry.
May I interject, if it's all right, just to clear the table here, if it's okay, Commissioner? I think it's important that the item be brought before the body, and currently that has not happened. So what I would suggest, you do have a resolution on your iPad, I would suggest that a commissioner make a motion, and then it be seconded, and then it's on the table. And then Commissioner Irvin, at that point, I think from an order or procedural perspective, you could then make a motion to defer that item or refer it back to Public Works, for example, for further consideration.
Yep. Happy to do that, Mr.
Yes, sir.
County Attorney.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner James.
I'd also like to add, when the time comes, that I'd like to see kind of a public meeting and get their feedback. Because I came down and I got a lot of their feedback from a petition and went out and started talking to a lot of them, and most of them were just surprised and very, very sudden up. So whatever methods you used to reach out to them felt like it wasn't enough. And I'd like to see kind of what they're saying, what they're thinking, because I feel like this procedure, this step, we're actually the gatekeeper before it goes on for us. So when you soup forth, and so I don't have to make the amendment, if you'd add, I'd like to see a public meeting of some kind to hear feedback.
Well, public hearing from the city standpoint, if I could address that, it would certainly be in the works at the appropriate time as we go through it. We still have design planning, and there is a process that would include public hearings on that. There is no financial request whatsoever from the city with respect to this facility, not for the construction of the facility or construction of the transfer station. That hasn't been part of our consideration. We've had discussions where we are open to sharing costs of north and south transfer stations, but at this point in time, south transfer station is the only one or the city is the only one that's building that south transfer station.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner James and I had a discussion on this today, and a couple of commissioners, including myself, was trying to get out and find out some information before we even look at this tonight, because hitting me by surprise, and one big surprise is my district. That's one big surprise, you know. And Commissioner James and I had to beat the bushes, and I started with the owners. I think that's right, in the Commissioner James. I started with the owners of the property. And the owners of the property stated that they were unaware of this. They sold the property, and the city told them they were going to build a maintenance building and store trucks. That's what the owner said. So we running all the way around this mulberry bush today, trying to find out what's going on. And now all of a sudden I'm being hit with this resolution tonight. I thoroughly agree with my commissioner over here. We need to defer this until we get a handle on what's going on.
Other questions? Commissioner Dodd?
I would just like to reiterate, this is not a public commentary or outburst moment. It affects us. So if you could state that again as our chairman. I want to state again, this went through Public Works. It was vetted at Public Works. Public Works voted unanimously to move this forward. Excuse me, we voted 6-1. Joshua, you were no? And the no's tonight have been, granted, you're going to have to get this information. You can't get it from me. The no's have been because we're misinterpreting the ask. I'll go back again. There is no construction plans to approve. There's no site to approve. There's no permit to approve. This is a TDEC technicality, a state law item where we can block the city from having a trash conversation or planning a trash element, which is transfer station. Everybody agrees, Public Works for 6 years, everybody agrees a transfer station is step one and an alternative to dump and bury. I don't know if we're going to get a resolution, but I want to be clear. Again, we're not voting anything of support. We're only not blocking the city from pursuing TDEC conversations, which may get a resounding no. So y'all can do a better job of getting it out there, educating us. I can't deny that. I can't help that. But I can say the committee system worked. We heard it. We discussed it. We questioned. We've talked to Darren Gore. We've heard from Craig. We've heard from the civil engineers. And we had a 6-1 vote to forward it so the paperwork could be processed and TDEC can start looking at it. Again, we may have a resolution, we may not, but I want to clear that air.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Well, I hate to keep jumping up, but this gentleman just told me that the location of this transfer station is what's going to be presented to the state. And am I right? Say that?
The application for TDEC for the permit, yes. This
Okay,
location.
so this location, you hadn't looked at any other locations, you don't have anything but this one location is going to be presented to the state, correct?
Yes.
That's what I'm arguing. I'm arguing not the process of what you're talking about sending it to the state. I'm arguing about this location. This location is coming before us tonight, and I had no idea, and that commissioner probably didn't. I understand Public Works looked at it. I don't know if Public Works voted on the location or loved the location or what. They may have. But if they loved it so much, looked like they would have called the commissioner from that district to ask him of his opinion of that location. That's my argument. So therefore, I think we need more time to look at this.
Commissioner Peay.
Well, I'm on the Public Works Committee, and my understanding was that we were approving them to go forward by saying we consented to them to look at whatever process they had to do to get approval with the Jackson law. I didn't approve any location or any building or anything else. And I did not see a contract. Now, I got concerned when I heard Commissioner Irving reading this contract out that I haven't been privy to, that I'm aware of, Craig. But I might ask same questions. You know, I don't have a problem sending this back and let us look at the contract, since that's evidently what we're going to be voting on whether we're building buildings or where.
Commissioner Peay, there is no contract. I think he was reading from the resolution. I think it was reading from the resolution.
Well, the resolution, and I haven't looked at this, but what I'm saying is, I was listening to Commissioner Irving. Were you not reading out some stipulations there? And I haven't seen
Yeah, I'll be glad
those.
to. It basically, in one of the whereas clauses, says that TDEC's not going to evaluate the city's permit unless and until both the Murfreesboro City Council and the Rutherford County Commission have approved the construction of the proposed solid waste processing facility. And then in the operative provision where it says, therefore be it resolved, okay, it, meaning the county commission, hereby approves of the construction of the project located at 2021 Butler Drive for the purposes of the Jackson Law, references the Tennessee Code, et cetera. So it's not a contract right now, but we're approving the construction. So, and I don't think that's what the intent is, that we're, from what I'm hearing, I'm not hearing that's the goal. So along with Commissioner McAdoo, I'm just, whatever mechanism is appropriate to defer this until the next meeting so that we can run it through the appropriate committees. And I'm not saying that Public Works was not, y'all do good work, no question. And it may be at the end of the day, this is something that could be refashioned in terms of the resolution to satisfy the requirements of the Jackson Law and get the city where it wants to be so it can move forward. But it doesn't appear to be there now. So happy to respond or answer any further questions Commissioner Peay has, or I'll just turn it back over.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner James.
I was the no vote on Public Works. I asked two primary questions. Was one, why do you want to put it next to a water source? And two, have you reached out to the affected neighbors in the neighborhood adjoining to it? The answers were you had a buffer that you had planned in place for the water source and attempted to assure me that it wouldn't be an issue with that. But then at the same point that no, you had not, that you have your city reach out for the public meeting after you get to that step. I recognize that this vote is about more of procedure to go up to allow them to go apply with TDEC, but I also am looking at it as a simple yes vote for procedure is still a vote in essence of approving for them to move forward when we don't have enough of the details yet. We haven't heard from the affected areas yet, and it just, for me, I didn't feel comfortable with it during Public Works, and I don't feel comfortable with it now. So.
Yeah. And Ryan reminded me there, we did have a neighborhood meeting at the fire station there in Indian Hills. Is that where it was? In Indian Hills. And again, the process that's going through it, the process it will go through, we'll have other public hearings as we go through the Planning Commission. And
do you have an idea of how many turned out to that one? And how long of a notice they had for it?
No, I don't. 15 people. Yeah, about 15 people. Well, it's we do neighborhood meetings. We do neighborhood meetings regularly with all types of planning activities that we have, and so I'm sure the standard process was used to notify all the affected areas. And
before you leave tonight, I'm happy to hand you a petition that's got plenty of names of people who'd be interested for the next meeting that you schedule.
That's fine.
Any other questions for the city manager? Have any other comments? Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna read the resolution. And I understand the wording, Commissioner Irvin. It basically says, yes, we're approving the construction. I mean, by approving the permit, it's approving the construction. I mean, that's the semantics of it all. All right, whereas the City of Murfreesboro, the city, has represented to the county on December 7th, 2022, the city entered into an agreement with Wasteway LLC to design a qualified biogas property, the project, which is consistent with the definition of such properties in the Inflation Reduction Act, 28 U.S.C.A. 48C in the whole, 7 in the whole, will convert biomass into methane gas and will capture such gas for sale or productive use. And whereas the city has indicated that the project's objective is to produce renewable natural gas for sale from municipal solid waste, while at the same time diverting upwards of 90% of municipal solid waste collected by the city from landfills at the market competitive price. And whereas the city intends to have the project built on property owned by and located within the city at 2120 Butler Drive, so city property, whereas the city has presented to the county that the project will include the following components: a material management station, 1, 2, a waste-away SE3 manufacturing component, 3, an aerobic reactor biogas generation component, 4, renewable natural gas purification component, and 5, related facility support spaces. And whereas, based on the information provided to the county by the city, a project constitutes a solid waste processing facility subject to regulation by the Tennessee Department of Environmental Conservation, TDEC, under the Tennessee Solid Waste Disposal Act, as amended and codified at Tennessee Code Annotated 68-211-101, and the related implementing regulations adopted by TDEC specifying Chapter 0400-11-01 of the Rules and Regulations of the State of Tennessee. And whereas, pursuant to Rule 0400-11-01-02, the project cannot be operated without a permit from TDEC, and the city retained the engineering firm of Griggs & Maloney to prepare the city's notification for permit by rule permit application in accordance with the Rule 0400-11-01-02, a copy of the said permit application being attached hereto as Exhibit A. And whereas, because the city adopted the Jackson Law, Tennessee Code Annotated 68-211-701, Jackson Law, in December of 2016, and the county adopted the Jackson Law in November 2005, TDEC will not evaluate the city's permit application unless and until both the Murfreesboro City Council and the Rutherford County Commission have approved the construction of the proposed solid waste processing facility. And whereas Griggs & Maloney certify that the permit application meets the requirements set forth in Rule 0400-11-0102. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rutherford County Board of Commissions that based upon the representations and information provided by the city and the engineering firm Griggs & Maloney in the city's permit application, it hereby approves of the construction of the project located at 2021 Butler Drive for purposes of the Jackson Law, Tennessee Code Annotated 68-211-701, and Chapter 0400-11-01 of the Rules and Regulations of the State of Tennessee, subject to approval and permitting by TDEC. Resolved this 14th day of September 2023. Mr. Chairman, I so move.
We have a motion and a second.
I will say, if anybody, if Bubba Smith wants to build a transfer station anywhere in the county, they have to go through this same process. That's what keeps anybody from just randomly opening a transfer station. They have to go through the same permit process, both through the county and the city.
Hey, Commissioner Cush, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So the way I understand it, for a simple waste transfer station, the Jackson Law is not applicable. But what makes this different is the waste processing component of it. That's what makes it different. Just clarification there. Yes, sir.
We have a motion and a second. Now discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion by way of an amendment to postpone this to the next commission meeting, so that, and it be referred to back to Public Works and any other appropriate committees.
We have a
second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second to defer back to Public Works discussion on the amendment. Commissioner Dodd.
Thank you. What information do you think we need, if we could help clarify, that might make you guys more comfortable? Or what is incumbent upon the city to share with Public Works next week? Excuse me, whatever we need.
If I may respond, Mr. Chairman. Well, I think, to Commissioner McAdoo's point, Chairman McAdoo's point, I mean, I think a little more information on the location, information on the technology, information on the financing, information on public awareness, public comments. There would seem to be quite a list, and that's just off the top of my head, of things that it might be beneficial to take a closer look at, so that perhaps a more fulsome report could be presented to the commission. And, we have a better idea kind of what's going on, and we can make a better assessment. I mean, it may be a perfectly good project. I don't know the answer to that question, okay? But I do think there's a great deal of information. Chairman McAdoo's mentioned a few things as well, in terms of it being near a body of water, in terms of community awareness, in terms of, potential other infrastructure issues. So I could go on, but I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say in terms of additional information that might be required. Thank you for the opportunity.
And I don't want to speak for the Public Works. So I just wonder, do we need to invite you guys to the next Public Works? Would y'all join us or at least commit to watching on television? And would we suggest we invite the city to come back, Chairman? Perhaps that's a suggested move.
Exactly. That's what we need to do.
Okay.
Bring it back to Public Works.
If y'all want to try to join us whatever date we meet.
Commissioner Dodd, I'll be glad to join if I know about it.
I think we can attest that the city folks have heard us, I believe, and I'm sure we can get a commitment from them to have a thorough presentation, and then Public Works can have a chance to say yes or no.
And if I could add, it might make sense to tailor the resolution a little tighter. Because construction adds a whole lot of potential issues to it, and it may be that there's a Jackson Law resolution, something along those lines, that could be narrowly tailored. We'd still want the background and the information, but maybe it could be tailored a little more narrowly. Thank you.
If I could defer for a second to our legal counsel for clarification, thank you.
Just briefly, it may be more procedurally appropriate for Commissioner Irvin's motion to just simply be a motion to refer this back to Public Works and request that Public Works do what the Commissioner has stated and give a report next month on the progress. It wouldn't be a motion to amend. I think it's just a motion to refer the current item pending before the body. So if that's okay, Commissioner Irvin, that's what I would.
That's perfectly fine. Thank you for the clarification.
We have a motion to defer. Item J, 5A. Now other discussion. We'll be on the board for this, so everyone is voting on the motion to defer. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
"17 yes, 4 no."
Motion to defer passes. Thank you. push anything else? The next meeting of Public Works will be October the 3rd, 5:30 p.m. Item J6, Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee. Chairman Craig Harris.
No report.
No report, sir. And next meeting is October 2nd, 5:30.
Thank you, Chairman Harris. Other business. We've got an item for discussion under other business, and it's the Forensic Center discussion, and I'll call on our Public Safety Committee Chair, Pettis Reed, to lead this discussion.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't know the commission was going to be warmed up for me before I got ready to present this. But, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we have been discussing the Forensic Center at several different commission committees. It has gone through property management, which property management sent it right back to public safety. Public safety discussed it. Public safety, by a vote of 6-1, approved it. Sent it on down to budget. Sent it to budget. Budget had a thorough discussion of it. Budget did not pass it. They failed by a 5-2 vote. That evening, I met with several of our public safety members. I discussed that with them, and they kept asking, what can we do with this? The next day, I had other discussion. I even discussed it with our county attorney. Is there anything else possible that we can do with this? So, by Robert's Rules of Order and bylaws, being a prevailing committee, that we can bring it back to the floor to discuss with the entire commission. And what I'm doing, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking permission to bring this up for discussion before this board. So that's what I'm asking, Commission, for the opportunity to bring this back forward due to the request of our public safety personnel, due to the fact of the importance of a forensic center within Rutherford County. What I'm wanting to discuss and what I'm wanting to bring out is the fact that at all the commission meetings that we've had, we haven't had an opportunity to bring the needs forward. We've discussed price tag for an architectural plan, a geological plan of the property that we plan to use in Smyrna. But as far as the exact needs, I think you need to hear why this is even a consideration. I've been involved with this for over 5 years. In fact, it's been discussed under 3 different mayors, starting with Mayor Burgess. This was not an idea of a mayor. I want you to understand that. The mayors that have brought this forward, it was not their idea. It come through public safety individuals themselves. And they brought it to the mayor due to the fact that we have problems within Rutherford County that a forensic center is needed. 1972, the ambulance service was began in this county. That's when we started that, in 1972, 51 years ago. And within what we had planned, that we would be looking at a forensic center at that time, what we would do. As far as that has gone from those many years, we really haven't advanced all that much. It's interesting, whenever I see new commissioners come forward, they'll immediately, some of them will even ask, I'd like to see the morgue in Rutherford County. And I always tell them there is no morgue in Rutherford County. And especially newer ones, as we go further into a growing county of almost 350,000. In 1972, when we began that ambulance service, we made a contract with then Rutherford County Hospital That contract was to use their morgue. They were very gracious. The contract stated in it that for every day that you have a body there, it's $50 a day. What I will tell you is that they have really been gracious, because since 1952, they have yet to send us a bill. Now, I don't know if they're running a tab. And later on, we'll see that tab. But they have done that for us. The capacity of their morgue at this time, what I've been told, is 12. 350 within this county. I think you have seen, and I think there is some information that we would like to pass out to you, showing the number of deaths that are in this county, number of trips that we make to Nashville, dealing with the Nashville Forensic Center down there. The number continues to grow and continues to cost us each and every year. It doesn't go down. It's not going to go down. It's continued to be a problem. You know, I was always told that when you're dealing with a problem doesn't affect you until you experience that problem, and then it becomes your problem. There are those of us that we have here tonight are experiencing the problem we have here in Rutherford County. Now, all of you know, beginning this year, we attempted to get a grant, and we had hoped through the state of Tennessee would help us pay for this, as well as a regional forensic center. Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. What I'm asking you to do is listen tonight, if you'll give us that opportunity to make that presentation before you tonight, to the professionals of your county. That's all I'm asking. Listen to the professionals and see what we can do. I told you that you really don't understand a problem until you experience it. I never knew a whole lot about a autopsy. Really didn't. I grew up with a first cousin that I thought the world of. In fact, I can remember a day out in the back 40 of our farm, we built a dam across the creek. Good dam. It really stopped a lot of water. But then, as boys do, we decided we were tearing that dam down. We picked up rocks and started bombing it, and I happened to bend down the same time he threw a rock. Caught me right here. You've never seen so much blood in your life. Well, as boys, we kept playing, went to the house, got that taken care of. But as a buddy, and as a first cousin, as a close friend, I thought the world of him. In later years, I went on to MTSU. He went to the University of Tennessee and got high honors becoming an architect, getting his master's, going further. Won everything they had at the University of Tennessee of being an architect. He later ended up going to Nashville, being chosen by a major architectural firm down there, and designed hospitals, especially the pediatric wards. If you happen to have the opportunity going into Centennial Hospital, he designed a good part of that. But one evening, working late in his office, individual who had hidden within that office slipped in, basically assassinated him sitting in his chair for $25 and a wedding ring. Well, that's the first time I had ever dealt with an autopsy, was with him. And I experienced that. I saw what was involved by the waiting time for the family while they're dealing with grief, but that was back before we have today in Nashville. Today we have a facility down there that's dealing with 52 other counties besides us. Plus, they have the contract for Nashville-Davidson County, which means they come first before us. And we're one of their larger counties. So we have concerns. But Mr. Chairman, I'd like the permission, if we can, that I can make a presentation with our Sheriff's Department, our Public Safety Chairman, as well as have an opportunity for Denise Martin to say a few words.
Is that a motion to suspend the rules to allow that to happen?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion to suspend the rules and a second. Discussion on that motion. Commissioner Peay.
Let's see, you said it's been to Public Works? That's 7.
No, it went to property.
Property management, I'm sorry. So this has been to property management, so there was 7. It's been to public safety, there was 7, that's 14. It's been to budget, there's another 7. So I think most of us have already seen this.
Any other discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? All those in favor of the motion to suspend the rules, please say aye. Aye. Opposition? No. Let's go on the board, please. A yes vote will be to suspend the rules to allow for further discussion on the Forensic Center. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
13 yes, 8 no.
Motion to suspend the rule carries. Hold on a second. We've got a legal interpretation. It appears that a motion to suspend the rules requires a 2/3 vote, which we did not get. So I'd like for Nick to tell us what's next.
Yeah, that's correct. Under our local rules that have been passed by this body, a 2/3 vote is required to suspend the rules. Now, that's just to allow for the presentation, I believe, was the motion to suspend the rules. Any commissioner could bring it up. So I think this body can still discuss this. If I understand what the motion was, it was to allow certain individuals who are not part of this body to come and speak, and that's what did not pass.
Discussion is still open. Motion to suspend the rules fails.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak again?
You have the floor, Commissioner Reed.
Gentlemen, I bring it to you tonight once again. Not able to bring my sheriff. I'm not able to bring the detectives who are having the problems right now with botched situations as far as the exams are concerned. I'm not able to bring public safety to come forward and tell you what's going on there. But we have problems. In fact, I think I might have a commissioner sitting right in here to tell you a lot of things that's involved as far as what out here and what we're dealing. But we're running out of time. I know everybody's sitting in here and saying, well, it hadn't happened. It's not today. We're not going to need this. We're not going to need extra space. You know, we argued this back during the pandemic. We were accused of things like we had to come up with reefer trucks They said, oh, they had bought all those things and spent that money. That's a pandemic. It's all scare tactics. Folks, it wasn't. You won't believe what we went through with that. And right now, down there where we are taking your loved ones, that's happening down there. It's happening. But here's something you need to think of. We just got through spending, or just now doing right here, $20 million for transfer stations, dealing with our solid waste. And my fellow commissioner from over here around Las Casas did an outstanding job explaining to you what would happen if we didn't have that station. That if Republic closed down, here we'd be. No place to take our garbage. We'd be in a fix. And it was time to do that. Well, let me give you another situation. We're 1 out of 52 going to Nashville. 1 out of 52, and one of the largest going there. I don't know if you know it or not, but if you will look at the map that's inside of that papers that was just given to you, as I mentioned to you, Nashville-Davidson County has a contract. Now think about this. Nashville-Davidson County has a contract for them to take them and take them first for any of the needs they have. Any of you watch television in the morning when the news comes on? What's the first thing you hear? Somebody's been shot. They've got a death. If it's a criminal situation, what's happened to them? Here down there at that center, that's where they go. They're taken first. Not us. We have to wait. Now, that center down there is not owned by the state of Tennessee. It's not owned by Davidson County. It's not owned by the government. It's owned by a private entity just like Republic. Just like Republic. Now, if all of a sudden they have so many in Nashville, they have so many everywhere else in all these counties, and they're backlogged, and all of a sudden they call here one day and tell us, sorry, we can't take you today. We can't take you this week. In fact, we can't take you for the next 2 weeks. What do we do with the people that we have here that we have to take down there for autopsies? Okay? 5 in the state of Tennessee. One of them's Nashville. That one's out. Chattanooga. Chattanooga has one. They only take people from Chattanooga. They don't take anybody else. Memphis. Memphis, we do not fit in their area. We can't go to Memphis. You know where we're left to go? Knoxville and Johnson City. How many of you ever been to Johnson City? That's all day. All day. And part of the night sometimes. Same way coming back, folks. And then if we have to have a detective to go along with that autopsy, which we do, they have to be there when that's performed, when it's in a crime, they have to be there. So we take an officer of the law out of what he has to do here, send him all the way to Johnson City or to Knoxville. He has to be there. Well, we're left up to their scheduling. Well, it doesn't mean it's going to happen that day. It might happen the next day, or it might happen the next day. Well, he's off. He's off the schedule. And then, when does that person who has loved ones here waiting on them comes back? That's how long we're waiting in all of this, and that is a problem. We're getting more and more and more of these every day. There's also a schedule in there that shows you the cost of the autopsies, and it's doing this. They just added a little bit more to us. They've charged us more. They charged us twice this year or more. We're up to $2,300, what they're charging us. And it's going more and more and more. Now, I'm just telling you, this is what we're running into. Commissioners, I'm not speaking just for me. I'm speaking for the guys and the ladies within our public safety that are having to deal with this. And I'm speaking for the citizens of Rutherford County. Someday, we're going to need more than 12 spaces at the hospital. Someday we are. Any of you pass the plant out here, and you happen to, say, out here towards Pillsbury, you see that windsock? You think that's for landing helicopters? No, it's for looking for which way the wind's blowing, because they have tanks of ammonia and other things that they use in manufacturing. Just in case there's a leak of gas or anything else, they need to know which way the wind's blowing, especially your safety personnel. That's what it's for. We have rail lines that come through this county, cuts it in half. You ever sat there and wondered what's in all those tank cars? Is it all molasses? Going to go make popcorn balls, you think? Or is there something else inside those tankers? We have I-24 that goes through here. We have 840 that goes through here. Just so happens, I hear a siren right now. Wonder what it's all about. Folks, I'm just telling you, that day is coming. We just recently had a plane to crash out here. 7 people lost their lives. You know who was responsible for those 7 individuals? Not the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
No, not the state of Tennessee was responsible for those individuals. And who to take care of them? Rutherford County took care of them. You're coming through Rutherford County, you have an accident, and you're carried over here to St. Thomas, which is now a trauma 2, and you die, and you're not from Rutherford County? Who's responsible for you? You know? Rutherford County is responsible for you. I'm just telling you, this is what I'm talking about, guys, and that's why I hadn't give up. I haven't give up. That's just not within me. So I'm speaking on behalf of the citizens of Rutherford County and my public safety individuals out here. That's who I'm speaking for. Mr. Chairman?
Mayor Carr is an ex officio member of this commission and would like to be recognized. Mayor Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't prepared to speak this evening because this has been before, as it's already been spoken, several committees and discussed. I just want to remind the Commission that this is a request for $900,000, not the $1 million that originally came before the Budget Committee. And I can explain that reduction of $100,000 in just a second. It's for $900,000 for engineering and architectural design for both a forensic center and an EMS facility at the Weekly Road in Smyrna on an existing 10 acres that Rutherford County has available. I think Commissioner Reed has done an outstanding job explaining the need, so I won't go over old ground in that regard. But I am glad to answer the questions about how this came to be from a financial standpoint, but this is what we're talking about tonight is only the appropriation for money that exists in an emergency fund already that's existing for $900,000 for architectural, engineering, and geotechnical services for an EMS station and a forensic center.
Not to build.
No, sir, not to build. The build will come at a much later date, probably in about 7 to 9 months, and won't be a part of approval process till the next budget cycle, 24-25, at which point in time this effort on the part of the county, if approved, will be used to facilitate the existing conversations that we're having with the Christy Houston Foundation as a part of a potential grant. the potential for the state, again, through the Tennessee General Assembly to participate in this, Middle Tennessee State University, and any other sources that might be a part of and might be of benefit with this regional forensic center that just doesn't assist Rutherford County, but parts of Middle Tennessee that are under tremendous stress as a result of the growth Middle Tennessee has received in the last 20 years since the last regional forensic center was built in Tennessee. And I'll gladly take questions if the Mr. Chairman allows.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you're saying that we have the $900,000?
Yes, sir, we do.
Thank you.
And if the commission would like clarification on that, I'm sure Michael Smith can provide that. Because I have worked with Mr. Smith for quite a bit of time on this, and so he's quite familiar with the funding mechanism for approval.
I've looked at this, I've seen it. I don't have an argument that this is something that we could use here in this county. My problem with it is twofold. First of all, where these funds are coming from. It's strange that Commissioner Reed mentioned trash, because the money that they're proposing to take that of was some emergency funds that we put away for a lawsuit that supposedly has been settled, but has not been settled because it's going to be continued with Republic. We're not involved in it yet, but that doesn't mean that we won't be. That $5 million that we set back was our plan B for trash in case we have to start shipping trash and had no place to put it. So my first objection is, if you want this, take it out of undesignated fund balance where it ought to be coming out of, not in this emergency position that we set aside, looking ahead, trying to be good stewards in case worst case scenario happens. And we're starting to take money out of that fund. I think that's a mistake. Now, the other thing that I've got a problem with, we've hired a lobbyist. This lobbyist successfully got grant funding for Chattanooga, which we just mentioned there. He's on our side now, and I'm hoping that Will can come back and say, hey, we found the funds and the money's here, and then we can proceed with that. When we find that out, it takes about 2 months on average to do a geotechnical study. And anyway, I think why put the money out on something that we don't know we've got the money to spend for right now. And I'll take Mayor Carr's words from, I think, one of his radio shows. If we don't come up with different revenues, you're looking for another tax increase. And that's the problem I've got. You know, we don't know from the architectural standpoint on this building, is this going to be just for us? Is this going to be regional? If it's going to be regional, it's going to cost a lot more money in staffing. And we don't know that. And you don't know what the design of the building's been. I don't think, well, I know we didn't talk about the design of the building in budget and finance. And again, let me state, I am not against us building this building in the future. But I want to see if we'll give him a chance to earn his money, can come up with the grant money to fund this project. And we should know that sometime this fiscal year. As the mayor just said, it'd be 2024 before we could look at doing it in that year's budget. We'll start looking at that budget this spring. Our legislators and lobbyists will be working up till June 30th when our year-end ends. And I think we ought to at least wait till that time to see if we've got the money available before we go out and spend more.
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond.
Sir, Mayor Carr.
So a couple of points of clarification, if I may. The $5 million that's in the emergency fund is, Chairman Peay is correct, is in the solid waste fund for an emergency transfer station. When this body approved the $20 million bond for the transfer station, that, and again, I will defer to Mr. Smith, that in many respects freed up that $5 million in emergency funding because it made available that bond that's going to be available here very quickly when we go to market. That's number one. Number two, the Forensic Center was always proposed to budget as not a construction, but a funding for architectural and engineering. And my conversations with both Christy Houston, Ms. Davis, with our members of the delegation, with MTSU, all said that an investment on the part, or a commitment on the part of Rutherford County, a financial commitment, would go a long ways towards them understanding that we were serious about moving forward. And so I understand that they're waiting on us before we can enter into negotiations with other counties to see how serious they are about bringing their autopsies to Rutherford County, about whether funding is available. But I can tell you there are serious conversations going on with 3 different organizations: Middle Tennessee State University, Christy Houston Foundation, and our delegation, the Tennessee General Assembly, to help us with the construction of this project. If that funding, matching funding, is not available in time for the 24-25 budget year, we're in no obligation to move forward, because the design and engineering and architectural work that'll be done still will allow us to move forward at a later date when this county commission deems it appropriate.
Commissioner McAdoo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Portion of this money should have already been spent on that piece of property. Some of the committee members had a discussion, and I was under the impression that 10 acres, that the geotechnical study had been done on that property, because we made a deal with Smyrna to swap a piece of property if they would run the sewage and water to our property to make it more valuable. So you can take that portion out of this money. It's coming. We need the geotechnical study, and we'll probably look at it in the next committee meeting, because I was under the impression it was already done. No matter what goes there, we're going to need that done, that portion done. So just remember that, because I think he mentioned Forensic Center, EMS, and I don't know what else may be looking at that piece of property. But that study got to be done. So next month, you're going to be looking at us coming to you, asking to get that done if it hadn't already been done.
Commissioner Peay.
I don't disagree that, eventually we'll need a geotechnical study there, and hopefully that has been done. I want to go back to this money again for a moment. That money is set aside for shipping waste, not for building a transfer station. It could have been used for that too. But, there's going to be cost involved in this. Guarantee you, operating the building, if nothing else. But we still have lawsuits potentially hanging over us. We've got an attorney that specializes in solid waste that we have hired, and at some point we may have to start doling that money out. Like I said, guys, I am not against doing this. I'm saying let's get the money first. Now, you keep talking about Christy Houston and us putting up front money. Last time I checked on property, and it's been several years ago, Mac, you probably straighten me out on this, but property with sewer on it in this county usually runs over $1 million an acre. Is that a fair statement? Well, exactly. And how many acres we got there? 10. So Christy Houston, if they're looking at upfront money, well, there's about $10 million right there. So it's not like we're not putting something up front. If we've got this land and this property that we're proposing to build on there, and that should be, in itself, an answer to Christy Houston saying, hey, we've got skin in this game.
Yes. Commissioner Reed.
You know, whenever you talk about Christy Houston and whenever you talk about people wanting to come on board, you know, I hear a lot of people talk a good game, but if I don't see something, I'm not ready to come on board. Christy Houston, from one individual, that group right there, I think they have to have some type of architectural plan before they actually will even come talk to you. So that's what I'm talking about. We've got to have something for you to see. Somebody asked me the other day, said, well, can't we just go ahead and ask people to join and try to sell them on the idea? Before I thought, I come back and said, you know, Mike Fitzhugh has a jail full of people that sold things that they didn't own to begin with. Pretty much here. An idea is great, but unless you have something that you can actually show, and that's what we're trying to do, is to come up with what we're trying to present to what we've got here. I keep hearing this word about a regional. A regional was the original idea, but that's not it now. The square footage is not even the size that we projected back in spring. We're not even talking about that. We are suggesting a size larger than what is recommended for what we're wanting to do, due to the fact that we probably will have some counties come aboard with us once we get there. But that's what we're talking about. That's what we're trying to do here.
Other questions for Mayor Carr?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
One last comment. Money doesn't grow on trees, guys. Money does not grow on trees. If they do, show me the tree, because I need to go prune it. Get a transplant for me. But I don't want to be voting on a project that I don't know that I've got funded for. That's the bottom line right there. And quoting the mayor from the radio, you know, if we don't find some alternate revenue sources, we're going to be looking at another tax increase. And if you keep spending, that's going to happen. Thank you.
James.
That's kind of along the same problem I've got. We've just paid money for a lobbyist to go up there and bring money back to us for various projects that we're looking for. Why can't we wait for that, get him to do his job, get some money back to us? Why can't we create something more of a letter of intent, desire of intent, to start seeking for alternatives for some of these grants until we find something? We've got the land, we're sitting there with it. I don't like the idea of spending $1 million, or excuse me, as Mayor just said, $900,000 now, to do a project that we might not be able to go through. Sure, we can have a piece of paper sitting there with architectural design sitting in a room for us that we just spent almost $1 million for. But, you know, how's that working? Look at the school board right now. My understanding is they've got drawing architectural plans for the tree school complex out in Walter Hill with land paid for sitting there, but they're not wanting to build that. They're waiting to find other locations out in the northeast or northwestern side of the county. So I don't want to be in a similar situation where we can't come up with the funds. I mean, right now I'm looking at it in a way as some of y'all, the majority of y'all, just voted for a very large property tax increase. But we're in the budget and we're working through it. But before we even got our first payment, everybody's back to spending. It's kind of like a guy gets a new job, and before he gets his first paycheck, he buys a new truck. At some point, we need to realistically right the ship and get our spending and our debts under control. And if we have to wait on some projects that, yes, I see a want for it, I see a potential need that's looming, but we're well ahead of the curve with most other projects. We have the land waiting there. And then another argument I'd have to point out is during public safety, when we brought this up, an amendment was made to the motion to also add for the EMS station, which I would argue is a more needed asset out there at this point in time. But the same valuation was given, and now tonight we're hearing it's even $100,000 less. So it makes me feel that the architectural design process is over-bloated about how much it's going to cost. Because if at one was $1 million, then they added another one, and it could break even with the same $1 million valuation. And now they're back doing both buildings for $900,000. I wonder how much lower we can get that. It's just too many questions, too many flags on me. you talk into the operational side of it, the operation cost plus the 20-year bond, every year that's going to be more than the valuation of what we're spending just to maintain the system we currently got. And I know the professionalism of our sheriff's department and other groups that have to deal with the forensic center out in Nashville, and I know that they would like to have it faster, they would like to have it, but I don't believe for one moment that their job performance is lacking because of it. I'm sure they would have mentioned that time over time again over to us in public safety if that were the case. But I know their professionalism, I know their well-being, that they're actually able to do the jobs appropriately. So a lot of this plan that's presented, for me, is more emotional based and doesn't have a lot of, when you start looking at the numbers, doesn't really present to us, just show us the real valuation that we need to look at. And I'm personally not there yet at seeing the numbers saying that it's a viable financial expense at this time.
Mayor Carr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's important to correct the commissioner on the idea that the original $1 million was in any way bloated. It was not. Let me explain why there was a reduction of $100,000 in the fee. In the original fee of $1 million for construction engineering, there was also included in that fee $100,000 for project management during the construction build of the facility. And since we are not authorizing the construction build of the facility, that $100,000 wasn't necessary. So we talked to Mr. Smith and I talked to Bart Klein, the architect, and we asked him, can you include the EMS station in the $1 million? He said yes, because a lot of the geotechnical had already been done, and we can do that, and we already have existing plans for previous built EMS stations. So that wasn't an issue. After that, Mr. Smith and I asked Mr. Bart Klein, said, is there anything in your proposal that we do not need as it relates to the engineering and architectural design and prints for the facility so we can go to bid prior to approval from the county commission? He said yes. In my proposal was $100,000 for construction contract services to oversee the construction of the project. Since we're not authorizing the construction of the project, that $100,000 is not necessary. So we removed that $100,000 from the $1 million, giving us $900,000. That is the explanation about why we went from $1 million to $900,000, not because it was bloated. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I remember the motion originally before the amendment for the EMS station came onto it was a valuation of $1 million. So that's where I, used the wording I used on that. So I appreciate it going down. Always appreciate it going down. But I'd like to just to restate that fact.
Commissioner McAdoo, did you have anything?
I'll be brief on it. This project, for you new commissioners, remind me of the judicial building. Judicial building was a $73 million project. Then we added another $2 million on it to buy the Daily News Journal piece of property to build a parking garage. When we started on that project, everyone said, oh, we're spending the money that we could be building a new school with. Oh, we doing this, we doing that. And I can remember sitting over there where Commissioner Anthony Johnson is sitting, Commissioner Robert Stevens. We got it approved that we needed the judicial building. And the only thing I'm looking at from this commission is probably to say we need the forensic building. After we made the statement that we needed the judicial building, we went to work on finding the money. I didn't like the way we did it, but based on putting our heads together, we were able to come up with the money without looking at property taxes or anything to build that building. And that was a $75 million project. But being a commissioner, Only thing I'm looking for is the commission saying that we need the forensic building, that we need that project. Now, if we go on record of saying we need that project, that don't mean we got to go out and build it tomorrow. Because even though we said we needed the judicial building, it still took about 12 years to get it done. The only thing to clarify the way we are going is for this commission to say that on record, we voted on it, that we need this project, that we need this forensic building. Now, as far as the other, if it comes, fine. If it don't come, we wait until it do come. That's the way we did the judicial building. It was a $75 million project. And you believe that we didn't catch no slack on it, we did. Everybody thought it was coming from property taxes. If we could build a school for this amount of money, so on and so forth. But I think tonight, I'm just looking at the concept of going on record saying that we need it.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Johnson, Anthony Johnson.
What we're speaking on tonight is just a step in the direction of getting a forensic center, a much-needed forensic center. People say, well, this is just a want. No, it's not a want. We don't want anybody to die. We don't want to have autopsies being performed, but it happens every day. You have mass casualties just about every day somewhere in the world for sure, probably every day in the world, but in the United States, it's coming here too. You can laugh it off or blow it off, whatever you want to do, but someday it's going to happen. And you're going to be sitting here, everybody's going to be saying the commission didn't do their job. They should have done this forensic center long ago. We wouldn't be in the shape we're in today. I've heard several times, not tonight, but I've heard several times we don't have any commitments from other counties. Well, this week I received 7 letters, and I'm assuming more of you commissioners also received these letters of support from 7 different medical examiners or mayors. I believe we have the support, I know we do, of a much needed facility. Not this seated commission, but the last seated commission, before some of us new ones came on, been accused of kicking the can down the road. And I really don't like that term, but it's used. And really, if you don't support this tonight or whenever it's voted on, then you're kicking the can down the road. And you're just hoping, most people aren't even hoping, they're not even thinking about it happening, a mass casualty event. Heaven forbid that happen, but it's highly possible. We don't need to be going out and hustling around and getting a bunch of trailers to put bodies in. We need a facility, not only for that, but just to keep our employees off the road traveling when they can be doing it right in Smyrna. You'll have them back on the job. We have highly trained professionals, but they can't do their job. Their training does no good if they're sitting somewhere waiting or watching an autopsy. Of course, their training comes into that too, but we've got better use. It was mentioned earlier by one of our commissioners, Joshua, that we need more information, or he needs more information. I think I have enough information to take a vote on this if it's called for tonight, but you had the opportunity to have more information brought before you tonight. But guess what? It was turned down. You had an opportunity, commissioners, to have more information tonight. Turned it down.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say I appreciate all the commissioners giving me the opportunity to once again bring this forward and to present it. And just as Commissioner Johnson said, I would like to have brought those professionals forward to tell you what our problems are there. But we didn't get that opportunity. And we're starting to approach that 9 o'clock time, and I don't want to mess up anybody's bedtime tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we will go ahead with the architectural design and the study at the cost that we've mentioned, that the mayor mentioned here, and I'll ask that our finance director give us direction and how to place that within that motion if we can.
Second.
So the mayor's office has requested this come out of committed fund balance for public health and welfare. That is one option. The other option would be the option Commissioner Peay talked about earlier, which would be unassigned fund balance. So either one of those is fine, as long as you could specify one of those in your motion.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask, during the debate with Recovery Court, there was monies left over in other bonds. Can we not use some of that money, since we'd have to use it for a project like this, or you know, what?
You could if you liked.
What kind of valuations are we looking at that are remaining in there? I know a couple thousand here, tens of thousands there.
There is some money left, and I would have to piece together that, and I can read you that tonight. However, I will add, part of the plan for the Recovery Court renovation was to use some of the leftover bond money from those, I don't want to call them random projects, because they are important projects, they're just left over. Part of the plan to fund the Recovery Court renovation was from the remaining of those other projects, but you could use some of that money tonight if you wished.
Well, I'm hoping to find out kind of what valuation can we get to by using those and getting those taken care of.
So, as an example, leftover from the archive edition is $53,000. The Goldstein building project had a little over $300,000. However, we used 85 of it tonight, so that would be 232 left. There's an additional $12,000 left over from Gov 20 money. There's an additional $67,000 left over from Gov 21 money. Then the majority of the money that we were expecting to use was when community care reimburses us, and that should be from the renovations that were over there, and that should be a little north of $800,000 once we finalize that amount. We have not received that money yet, so I wouldn't suggest you use that pot tonight because we haven't received that final amount. But that was those amounts I just read to you were the amounts to fund the, or a little over $1 million, a little over $1.1 million. However, those were almost the exact cost of the Recovery Court construction.
So without the Recovery Court construction, these leftover bond balances is about roughly 40% of what's being asked for tonight.
Let me clarify. That's not all bond money. A lot of that money is going to be from the Gov 20 and Gov 21 money, which was COVID related. Now, that's different from the ARPA money that we're building the public health and safety buildings with, but that came about during the COVID time as part of an appropriation from the state. And then the money that we're owed back from the community care innovation, a big portion of that was development tax money that has its own certain set of restrictions. So the majority of that is going to be from the development tax that I read to you, all those amounts. The majority of those amounts are going to be from development tax and from the Gov 20 and Gov 21 money, which is essentially unrestricted COVID money.
So that $364,000, that's subtracting the Recovery Court funds that's coming out. It's roughly $364,000. What number of that can be used for this project.
What I'm saying is, we appropriated $85,000 tonight on the consent agenda for the design of
Yes, I
recovery
know.
court.
I've already deducted that from the numbers you read out.
No. I've already deducted that on what I gave you. What I'm saying left over now would be about $1.1 million, and I'm looking back towards the mayor and Eric, because I think right around the cost of the addition and remodel of recovery court was around $1 million or $1.1 million. They're shaking their head. Yes, that was the portion that they were wanting to use for that renovation at recovery court. That entire portion I just read you from those projects.
Mr. Smith, you said there is no difference between what Commissioner Peay suggested and...
What I was saying is they were both options. You could take the mayor's office, their proposal to all the community process was to take it from committed for public health and welfare, which was the money set aside for an emergency transfer station. Or you could, as always, take it out of unassigned fund balance, but those would be the other two options, minus what I just explained to Commissioner James there.
Go that direction.
Which one? The
Peay?
Okay. Nick.
Got it. So if I understand the motion, it's to approve the funding of $900,000 from the fund that has, I think, currently $5 million. No, okay.
Let me read. Can I reread his?
Yes, you do that.
So just to recap what your motion was, would be for the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to amend the general fund for engineering and design costs not to exceed $900,000 from unassigned fund balance.
Chairman, I have a point of order. That's your second. Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order, Mr. Chairman. I believe this falls under the 2/3 majority rule that was passed a while back by this commission, meaning all that was on the agenda was a discussion item, and it didn't get through budget, and it seemed to require a 2/3 majority to consider it.
Yep. So the way I interpret that rule is that this item and the subject matter was listed on the agenda to provide notice to the commissioners of the subject matter that would be brought up today. I think at that point, this body can transact its business by a majority vote if the motion is brought.
I'm not sure it's quite that broad.
That's just my interpretation of it, Commissioner.
I believe we need a 2/3 majority to continue the discussion.
I think that the vote required for the motion that's currently on the table is for a majority vote.
This is to bring it to the commission, to bring it up at the commission level. This is a point of order. Can be brought at any time. Goes to the heart of whether it can be brought up or not the specific motion.
Which means that the motion is valid as it relates to any commissioner can bring up pretty much any motion at any time that they feel led to do that. The 2/3 majority dealt with suspending the rules.
No, Mr. Chairman, this is the 2/3 majority rule that the steering committee brought up and was passed. This does not have to do with the 2/3 majority required with respect to suspending the rules. This is whether it can be brought up before the commission.
There is a separate rule to which the commissioner speaks about, and it says if an item is not on the agenda or hasn't gone through an appropriate committee, then it requires a 2/3 vote to be considered by this body. That's why it was put on the agenda in advance of the commission meeting to provide notice to the commissioners that this topic would be discussed. I think under state law, which trumps anything we have in our local rules, states that when a matter comes before the body, that a commissioner can bring such matter, and the vote upon that item would be by a majority vote. I'd also note that in the local rule that we have passed, it excludes from its application budgetary items, which I understand from Mr. Smith this constitutes.
It's a proper motion.
Thank you for your clarification.
Yes, sir.
The interesting thing then, what you've just admitted, is that the 2/3 majority rule has no effect the two-thirds majority to bring it up in front of the commission. And you're correct, there is a state law that allows the commission to act by majority rule, but your decision process just eliminated the two-thirds majority rule that the steering committee and the other committee that it brought up and this commission adopted. Now, as to whether appropriate notice was given, I think that's a different state law, and all the notice that was given was a discussion.
Commissioner, I'm just giving my opinion as to the interpretation of the local rules. It's not a decision. This board is the arbiter of its own rules, and any of these rules at any time can be amended by a majority vote. So if the will of the body by a majority is to allow Mr. Reed to bring the motion and to have it heard and to vote upon it by majority vote, I think that this body can do that at any time it so wishes.
Thank you for your point. The motion that was made is a proper motion. Any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Peay.
Well, go back to when we started here. We had a vote, and it didn't pass the threshold to do this. So now we've moved past that, even though we said no. Now we're going to a vote. That's what I don't understand.
Are you referring to the?
You didn't have the two-thirds majority to go ahead with this discussion, yet we had a discussion, and now you've got a motion, even though we voted by two-thirds majority not to do that.
I think I understood the earlier two-thirds motion to simply suspend the rules to allow for the presentation and the individuals that were in the audience to come up. That's what the motion to suspend the rules was for, not to just hear the item itself. That's the way I understood it.
Anybody as tired as I am of this discussion, I would really like to bring the motion to a vote. Any other discussion? Have a call for the question. All those in favor of calling the question, please say aye.
Clarification on the motion, please. We have some commissioners that don't understand exactly what it is.
Okay.
Including me.
Michael.
Commissioner Reed, please correct me if I state your motion wrong, but I believe the motion that Commissioner Reed was intending to make was for the Rutherford County Board of Commissioners to amend the general fund not to exceed $900,000 for the engineering and design of a forensic center and EMS station, and for that money to come out of unassigned fund balance.
Clear.
Thank you, Chairman. Has this changed the mind of any of the budget members from last Thursday? Because, Chairman, I remember you bringing up one of the points was where the money was coming from. Budget turned this down 5-2. This is the biggest conundrum I've had personally since I've been on the commission. There's a need to have something like this. Our guys are out there every day, and it's getting worse. We're having more problems. But we also don't have any revenue. This is the biggest conundrum I face. We have a need for lots of things, but we don't have a source for the money. That's my biggest conundrum. I'm sitting over here on the fence and having a hard time. The calls from my district, the 10th district of Rutherford County, said, for lack of a better term, I'm going to tone this down, what are you doing? Our problems are schools. In the North End, all they know right now is schools. I was hoping, I will say this, I voted yes tonight to hear the discussion from the public safety officials because I need their help. I need to go to my constituents and said, if these guys are telling you what they're facing every day, I want you to hear what I had to vote for. If it's the stories I keep hearing of how desperate we are to have this stuff. That's where I'm at, guys. I was hoping to have that kind of help because my constituents do not want this. They want a priority list. They want us to say, and this is what I've heard from several people, we know we need schools, we hear about this forensic center, and they want to know what we should do in order. What is the most important thing first? At the moment, I want to vote no on this, not because of the need, but because I feel like the priority list is not right.
Point of order.
Discussion was over. We had a motion.
I thought we could discuss it, sorry, after a second the motion.
Discussion was over. We just had a clarification on the motion, but the discussion was over.
We had a motion.
All right, I apologize.
It's okay. I understand. We've got a motion and a second. fund for the design of a forensic center. And the question has been called, so we're ready to vote. For this will be on the board. Please cast your vote.
Anyone that did not vote and wishes to vote, or anyone who would like to change your vote, you may do so now.
Record the vote.
Eleven yes, 9 no.
Motion carries. Okay. Trying to figure out where we are. I guess we're over. Other business?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
In light of what our county attorney just presented to us, and since it's in violation with state law, I'd like to make the motion to remove the rule that we adopted a few months back from steering requiring a 2/3 majority, since it's violation of state law.
Commissioner, I don't think I said that our local rules violate state law. I think that this body can pass rules of procedure internally to govern its affairs. When it comes to passing upon motions, I think that majority vote is all that's required. Now, for internal procedure about how to get things on the agenda or present them, I think ultimately state law would control in the event that there's a conflict. I would caution this board, oftentimes we can get into the weeds and technicalities and it can thwart the efforts of the board moving forward on certain things, understanding that rules are important, but it can start to get into the weeds on some of this deal, and I don't mean that in any sort of way, but ultimately the will of the body by majority of vote should control.
I just don't want to attempt to have to abide by a rule or force somebody to abide by a rule that is in violation with state law. And as your explanation on the only time that it's been presented to be used in our first year at this chamber was just that. So I feel that it would be prudent to remove it from our rule books.
I'm just trying to help.
Or at the very least, ask steering to take another look to make sure that it is not in violation.
Quick shout outs. Let's end this on a positive note. Anybody? Thank you for your time. I'm sorry, Commissioner Peay, do you have something?
I do.
Okay.
I have 2 or 3. I told her I was going to be another 15 minutes.
Very good.
She's wanting to go. There's several things I want to, if other people don't mention them, I'm going to stand back up and mention them, but Saturday is a busy day. But out at Kittrell, back in 1880, there was a school built. It was named after, I think, a Revolutionary War soldier named Kittrell. But there is going to be a reunion at the Science Hill Church of Christ, which is exactly across the street from the old Kittrell School building, where in 1880 it was originally built. But that starts at 10 and runs till 2. And it happens that the people in 70, 71, and 72 graduates will be celebrating their 51st years. Now, I happen to be of the 72 group, so it's actually my 51st anniversary of graduation. We didn't quite get to do that last fall. We had planned on doing it down at the Readable Mill, and something happened to the mill, so we weren't quite able to get that done. But anyway, I want to invite anybody that's stuck around and listened this long, any Kittrell alumni, friends of Kittrell are welcome to come out. There will be a food truck there that you can purchase a meal with, but I want to let everybody know that people are celebrating Kittrell's 50th year anniversary. Now, second thing I said I was going to mention, my oldest nephew is celebrating his 40th birthday, and I wanted to say happy birthday, Josh. Thank y'all.
Happy birthday. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, for a shout out, there's the Great Chase 5K Run Walk, Saturday, October 14th at 8 a.m. off of the Gateway Island, off of 1875 West College Street. It's a good organization, and it's for a good cause. Advise everybody to reach out and try.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Once again,
I do have a shout out, Mr. Chairman, please.
Commissioner Oliver.
Laverne Rescue County Breakfast is this Saturday from 6 to 10 in Laverne, 141 Gamble. Also, Laverne will be having their Fall Festival this Saturday starting at 8 a.m.
Thank you, Commissioner Oliver. Anyone else? Tonight was a trying night. Your participation, your input was very important, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. With that, we are adjourned.